Hello and good evening. Welcome to the Unacademy Summit 2020. And I hope all of you can hear me clearly. Yes? Great. Lovely. Excellent. Thank you. So, as a part of the summit, the topic that I would be speaking on is myths versus reality of the civil services preparation. My name is Atish Mathur. I'm a lawyer, policy analyst, and most importantly, a teacher at heart. I've taught at the Vaji Raman Ravi IAS, New Delhi for about 8 years, which is one of India's finest offline preparatory institutions. The subjects that I primarily deal with are Indian polity and governance and Indian government and politics, which is a part of the politics science optional section B of paper 1. Now let's begin. This is my email ID, this is the Telegram channel, and the discount code for those of you who might be interested. Now, there's one thing I need to speak to you from a heart-to-heart basis is the next half an hour is going to be an incredibly honest conversation, a simple conversation that I think is high time that has been addressed. And that's the primary purpose of the half an hour of talk that we're going to have. We're going to pick up each myth and we'll look at it from a very dedicated perspective, right? My email ID is contact@atishmathur.com. And when we discuss, I've divided the myths and realities into 4 very simple guidelines. Myths about academics, myths about guidance, myths about the grand old Delhi, and myths about your life while you're preparing for this exam. Given the fact that this is a half an hour session, I would not be able to take the questions that I usually do on my sessions here at Unacademy, right? Let's begin with the first, the academics of it, right? The black hole. The biggest myth around the syllabus is that it is a black hole. The reality is, even the black hole leaves imprints that can be captured like recently have they been via a simple photograph, as you would notice. A black hole is often understood to be something which is a mythical phenomena, but we've proven the existence of a black hole very recently. The same way, the UPSC's imprint of a black hole are the previous year questions and its syllabus. The second you know both of these, you will have incredible command over the exam. Your syllabus and your previous year questions will teach you exactly what to read and what not to read. Will give you a sense of direction, will give you a sense of understanding what is needed, what is not needed, what parts to read, what parts to not read. For example, when you're, let's say, studying polity, and over the course of the last 3 months, I have done numerous sessions on Unacademy's special platform covering past year papers for polity and governance. And if you see them, you will understand a lot of it is essentially nothing but a clear pattern. Like, for example, you will never be asked anything which is legally ambiguous. You will never be asked anything which is not clearly defined in the realms of the law. For example, let's say you look at fundamental rights. The features of fundamental rights, where have you borrowed them from? The basic meaning of the writs under Article 32, and that's all. That's all. The fear of missing something out can only and only be conquered with data. And your only data set, the only reliable data set for this exam will always be your previous year questions and the syllabus. That's it. Nothing at all. And that is the most important part. Because what happens is, if you don't have this right, you tend to read everything because of a very simple phenomena called the fear of missing out. And therefore, you're not able to revise and recuperate. That's the first myth when it comes to academics. Second, the second myth is when it comes to sources, the more the merrier. And that's a phenomenal problem. I have, through the course of my teaching career, I have seen so many students across the board, even the smartest and the brightest of students, often doubting themselves and often getting into more and more sources because you start speaking to more and more people. If you've done a spectrum and you've done the history for modern, that's it. Have the confidence, close it, revise it n number of times, and you're sorted. There's no need to read 5 different books because at the end of the day, you just have 250 words to write. So at the end of the day, you just have 250 words to write. And one or max 2 books is more than enough to give you enough content for 250 words. And it's also enough to make sure that you get the relevant questions in the prelims exam. It's that simple. Have the faith, have the confidence, one basic book, one reference book, and you're sorted. Nothing more is needed. And trust yourself. Trust yourself with this. Clear? This is very important. Okay? You must also understand a lot of times what happens is when we look at some test papers, when we look at some questions which are there, the questions are asked out of the blue. Let me be very clear with you. A lot of the times, the test series, no matter who they are, where they come from, more often than not, miss the bus. They're sometimes deliberately tough, or they're sometimes just out of context. And you will know whether a paper asked in a test series question is appropriate or not if you've done the past year papers and if you know the syllabus. That's the basic idea. When you know this, you would clearly know what is relevant and what is not. So you'll be able to filter out whether the test series is actually questionable, is good or not. Simple enough. Next. This is where I see the most amount of confusion amongst students. The myth is the Hindu, the Indian Express, the Business Standard, the Economic Political Weekly, the Yojana, the Kurukshetra, it'll make you attain nirvana and you will clear the exam in a jiffy. That's not the case. That's really not the case. Very honestly speaking. Because you forget your end goal. Your end goal is to clear the marks. Your end goal is to reproduce 75% of what you've read in 3 hours in 20 questions. You're not becoming an editorial writer. You're becoming a candidate for a government exam. And that is why the reality is the Hindu or the Indian Express a day keeps anxiety away. That's all. That's enough. You read the Hindu or you read the Indian Express, and that's enough. You read it on a daily basis, and that's what we've been trying to do for the last a week or so. I've been doing something called Water Day for about half an hour, right? And I'm sure a lot of you have been a part of it. We finish the newspaper in what, half an hour? And then we do a Water Week every Tuesday at 12:30. Yes. And we finish the entire week's newspaper in an hour and a half with consolidated notes. How difficult is it? It's not. Because you've learned to say no. You've got to learn to say no. And sometimes you will find ready-made content. You don't have to sit with a magnifying glass with the Press Information Bureau looking for dirt. Nowadays, like the Hindu, which is essentially a newspaper for UPSC aspirants, the Press Information Bureau has also now started writing in a way which is very conducive to this exam. So a lot of times when the schemes get announced, you will see a background note on the schemes which is released on Press Information Bureau. Yes, just take that up, put it in a cut copy paste format, and you're done. And that's essentially what it is. Please don't bother overindulging in your sources. Okay? Please don't. You're more than welcome, Shashank, but please don't. Please don't. This is my honest, humble request. Don't. Next. Oh, this is amazing. What happens is we often look at current affairs compilations as shopping in a shopping mall. It's like window shopping. So current affairs compilation of A is better than B, but not as good as C, which is surely better than D. And at the end of the day, where you are is at O. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Don't do this. A, B, C, D, E, F, G till Z are more or less the same thing. They take the same sources, they write it in the same manner, they give you the same content. The idea is make your own consolidated notes, cross check with either of them, see if you've missed out on anything, and you're done. It's that simple. The biggest myth of this exam, very honestly speaking, is there's a degree of hierarchy. It is not, because current affairs compilations are essentially reproductions of already available content. Everybody goes to the same Hindu editorial, goes to the same Indian Express Explained, goes to the same PIB, goes to the same website. One will write it in Times New Roman, the other will write it in Arial Black. And the one who writes it in a better format, in a more concise one, seems to take the cake away. But they're really all the same. All the major ones that you've heard of are all the same. So don't worry, don't spend your time shifting from A to B, B to C. Pick one, stick to one. That's the idea. And that's very important. And that's essentially how the current affairs myth gets busted. Read the paper, make your own notes. At the end of the month, cross check with the monthly compilation, and you're taken care of. That's all. Because you remember, at the end of the day, you still have about 40% of your syllabus which is static. And that's the idea. And that's the basic point. Right? Clear on this? Understood? Yes. Next. Oh, this is another one. The myth is old NCERTs are gold NCERTs. Not really. Pick one, read one, move on. The amount of time you will spend to perform an archaeological excavation to get the best NCERT from the market, and they will not be available everywhere. So you'll have to go to a bookstore, or you have to make some calls, and you have to ask your seniors to lend them to you, and then you'll possibly make photocopies of them. Please don't. Please, that's the whole point. Read the one in current circulation, read another reference book. The reference books are anyways written in an outdated manner. They will anyways cover old NCERTs for the looks of it. So don't bother. So this larger discussion that we tend to have, that we are going to spend so much time figuring out what the right thing is, that by the time you figure out what the right source is, the next notification of the next year is out. Don't do that. Clear? Understood this? Simple enough. Pick one, read one, move on. Yeah? All right. This is one of my favorite. So the myth for this exam is the intellect of a Nobel laureate and the articulation of a Pulitzer Prize awardee is great marks in the mains. No, not at all. Not by a long shot. The most simple answers are the best answers. The answers which are written in the most conventional form, the what, where, when, how of things, that's all that there is. Just because you think you will get extra marks for being grammatically a genius, no. And just because you pick up an argument that nobody else has picked up, which the examiner also has perhaps not heard of, you're still not going to get any extra marks. The idea is, please understand this, which answers a lot of your background questions relating out of this. Do I need to do test series for 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, all of those things? Please no, absolutely not. If you haven't read, what are you going to write? Clear on this? Understood this? Yes? Simple enough. Don't bother. Read well, read less, read basic, and reproduce. Because always remember, when you're writing the mains answer, finishing as many number of answers as possible will always get you better marks than writing 10 brilliant answers and 10 below average answers. Finishing the paper is the key. And when you finish the paper, it requires consistency, and consistency only comes with simplicity. Because what happens is, in a paper two, let's say the Indo-China current issue across the LSE has really touched you or moved you, and you are spending 8 hours or 9 hours a day researching. In fact, you've taken a train and you've reached and you've gone by road. You're at the Galwan Valley. You now know what happens at the Galwan Valley. Even if you write that in the exam, it doesn't make any difference. The biggest problem with people is, especially in IR and polity and governance, is, and it's a very simple one, conspiracy has no place for this exam. So if you think you're going to write something that nobody knows this is because nobody knows this to be right. If everybody knows what is right, then please write it. It's that simple. The reality is, the hard work of a daily wager is great marks everywhere. That's all. This is something I really wanted you to get right. So if you have doubts on your writing ability, if you have doubts on your intellectual ability, if you have doubts on your general propensity to clear this exam, don't have it. Please don't. Don't. I give you my word. I give you my word. There's nothing better than simple, comprehensive answers. Always remember this. Short, simple, crisp, and correct. So the plus courses that I often teach on this platform, I always give my students some assignments to write. And I usually correct them within 2 weeks or so, and I give them back. I give the best marks to the kids who've written the simplest answers. Very honestly. And that's how it is. Clear on this? Understood? Yeah. The next one. This is another one. The UPSC is the devil trying to prey on an optional every year. The UPSC has nothing better to do, and they are going to pick one optional every year, and they are going to make sure that the students of that optional subject are going to suffer beyond suffer. No. Contrary to popular belief, the UPSC doesn't hate you. The UPSC wants you to clear this exam, and wants you to clear this exam with a great amount of effort. Why would a bunch of senior administrative bureaucrats sitting in an employment commission target a specific optional? None of that happens. Please understand this. You've got to reproduce 70% of the content in 3 hours across 20 questions. That's it. Now, this is something I'd like to talk to you about, because what happens is, this is a problem that most people face. There are two endpoints to the optional. The first is a technical optional or a scientific optional, or so to speak. And the second is a more expressive optional. So for example, let us say sociology, political science and international relations, philosophy, English literature. These are towards the expressive side. Okay? These are towards the expressive side. And let's say maths, electrical engineering, or the other engineering exams, botany, zoology, all of these are towards the technical sides. Okay? For kids who are very clear in their head that I really like maths being my blood group, I wake up and I meditate with a formula, you're clear. You don't have a problem. For children who've always loved humanities or sociology subjects or art subjects, you're clear. The problem lies when you're in the middle. The problem lies when you're in the middle because you don't know what to choose. Now, this has to be a very calculative decision. For example, let us say you're stuck between maths and sociology. Don't take maths because you think you have to be loyal to your undergrad subject or your postgrad subject. And don't take sociology just because you think it's the cool thing to do. The cool kids are taking socio, the cool kids are taking political science. It's the in thing. There's nothing called an optional in fashion. Most of you have a problem because you're here. This is when you have to do your calculations. The syllabus, the availability of consolidated in one place material, the amount of time you're going to take to get to 270, which is your safe space in the optional. Clear on this, right? And in addition to this, to an extent, what kind of an interest do you have? Clear on this? If you're here, these are your parameters. Do not, under any circumstances, make this an emotional decision. If you're here and here, if you're at the two ends of the spectrum, you'll never have a problem. The problem is here. Okay? Cool? So if you need any advice with your optional, you can always ask. I'll disclose my email address again at the end of the session, and we can help you out with that. Okay? So don't worry. Clear? If I tell you what optional I teach, you will think I'll be biased. So just in case, I told this in the beginning of the session as well. So don't worry. Clear? Is this okay? Yeah. Next. Oh, this is my absolute favorite. So coaching is a temple and teachers are the gods. That's how it is made out to be. The reality is coaching or guidance, now we're in the guidance category, coaching or guidance is a gym. And teachers are like gym trainers, to be very honest. Do you need to go to a gym to lose weight? No. Do you need to necessarily go to a fancy gym to lose weight? No. Does the gym trainer tell you something that you don't already know? No. Does the gym trainer tell you something which is a hidden secret? No. Does every gym trainer tell you the exact same thing? No. Now understand this. Why do still people take guidance? Because of a sense of regulation, because of a sense of figuring out what needs to be done, what doesn't need to be done. Clear on this? Why do people take guidance? People take guidance to figure out, okay, this is my sea of syllabus. I need to do this much, this much, this much, this much, this much, and you're done. Right? Now, for those of you who are saying, but sir, a gym has an equipment which your house doesn't. The question is, there's always a park. The end story is, you've got to lose weight, right? Understood this. So why do you take a gym? You take a gym because you want to go somewhere every day for an hour, get motivated by a lot of other people who are also doing the same, and out of peer pressure, and there's somebody on your head telling you, don't eat this, don't eat that, and somebody's helping you exercise. So you probably hire a gym trainer. This is essentially how coaching works, very honestly speaking. Clear? It's simple. Now, which brings me to the most important question. Political science. The most important question. The question is, do I join or do I not join? Online, offline, all of those things. You're essentially seeking a structure. You're essentially seeking a sense of monitoring. You're essentially seeking a sense of somebody to tell you whether you're on the right track or not, and somebody to evaluate whatever answers you write, whatever your efforts are, right? That's it. This can be done in a very simple manner. This can be done anywhere and this can be done through any means. I don't think you need to, very honestly speaking. Clear? Do you now understand this? Simple enough? Yes. Please don't overestimate, don't even underestimate. This is essentially how it works. Clear? Simple enough? Good. Next. Coaching, if you take one, will drop you till the Labasna main gate. We will hire a car and we will come with you in the car and we'll take you to the Labasna main gate. Hmm? No. Coaching will probably tell you where Labasna is and you'll end up Googling its full form anyway. This is the reality. Because what I often see is a larger sense of dependence on coaching, a larger sense of figuring out, no, my coaching is essentially the best and the brightest when everything happens. No, that's not the case. If 100 people tell you 100 things, 100 teachers will tell you 100 things. Pick a gym trainer, follow what he or she says, you will lose weight. Or run, figure it out in your parks, in your grounds, and you will lose weight. The purpose of this entire preparation exercise is to essentially get what works for you. A coaching will give you the books, a coaching will give you the resources, a coaching will tell you what to read, what not to read. And listen to one person in that coaching. That's all. Listen to one person. Okay? Understood? Clear? Simple enough? Yeah? I'll come to Delhi, don't worry. Clear on this? Yes? And please have an honest conversation. Clear? Good. Next, this is again, coaching makes toppers. No, toppers make toppers. Simple enough. I often see a lot of coaching institutes, including the ones that we've all been a part of, that X person studied here, so X person has made it because X person studied here. I can tell you this for sure, that a coaching might definitely give you a sense of perspective and a sense of guidance. But for everyone who's cleared, who's ever cleared this exam, they've all cleared with their sheer grit and determination. From a rank 1 to a rank 1000, everyone has worked genuinely the hardest that they could. Genuinely the hardest that they could. Clear on this? Understood? And yes, we at Vajiram or we at Unacademy, I've been fortunate enough to be a part of both. We help. We definitely do help. But at the end of the day, at the simplest end of the day, I can't take your hard work away to claim my success. Clear? Understood this? So my honest advice to you is, whenever you meet somebody or talk to somebody who's cleared the exam, they will always have their own struggle. Always. Clear on this? And for people who can't clear this exam after so many attempts, after so many years of this, it doesn't mean they're not hardworking. They will clear. They will always clear. Don't worry about that. And they will clear over a period of time if their honest preparation is true. If they've studied the right thing at the right time in the right moment. Sometimes, yes, luck can play, and that's a 10% factor. But I've always believed the harder you work, the luckier you get. It's always that simple. It's always that simple. Right? Next. Delhi, Bombay. If Bombay is to films, then is Delhi is to civil services prep? That's a very simple question. If if Bombay is to films, then Delhi is to civil service prep. Yes, that's a simple question. And why do people often come to Delhi? Because Delhi has something, one of my favorite words called mahol, the environment to study. You have hundreds and thousands of students living around you, studying around you. You feel good. It's like University 2.0. Our classrooms, it feels like college all over again. So no doubt you would feel happy about this. You would feel great about this. Very honestly. Yes, you will see these tea shops, you will see these hangout places. It's everywhere. It's a Vijayanagar in Bangalore, it's a Rajendra Nagar in central Delhi, it's a Mukherjee Nagar in northern Delhi. It's all over the place. And the reality is, the World Wide Web was invented more than 25 years ago, right? Isn't that the case? Right? Which basically means it doesn't matter as long as you are studying. All I really want to tell all of you is, especially in the current times that we live in, the closer you stay to home, please understand this. Home cooked food, the discipline and the tutelage and the guidance of your parents, the comfort is very, very important. It is. It is always very important. Because when you're living away from home, you have to take care of food, you've got to take care of linen, you've got to take care of laundry, you have to take care of electricity, you have to take care of everything. No. At home, you don't have to. The simplest way to understand this exam is you've been paid to study. You have been paid, which means either your parents are paying for your fees or you're using your own savings or whatever it is. Treat this preparation like you're preparing for an exam. That's all. Treat this preparation like you're doing a job. That's all. Job. A 9 to 5 job, a 9 to 5 prep. That's it. Nobody's asking you to burn 14 hours a day. And I've seen this a lot. That you're not a true UPSC aspirant if you do not have, a unkept hair, or you don't have a life, nothing of that sort. Please don't bother. Live comfortably, live well, study well, sleep well, eat well. It's as important as clearing this exam. Understood this? Yes. So this whole mahal of Delhi or mahal of Bangalore or Chennai or any of those things, not really, not needed. That's my honest opinion, of course. Yeah. This. My last one. The self-imposed lockdown. Everybody says that when the lockdown gets imposed, I get a lot of emails from students saying, "Sir, life really hasn't changed because our life was always in lockdown. Our life was always like the same." Now, please understand this. The biggest myth is that there is no life in the life of a UPSC aspirant. The reality is, all work and no play will make Jack, Jill, and Jolly a dull person. It's honestly the case, right? Do you understand this? Study for 6 days a week. Take a day off. Do something you like. Develop a hobby. Always, for example, pick up a series to watch on Netflix or Prime or Hotstar or Z5 for quite a few of you. Watch whatever it is. Take a day. When you're having your dinner, watch an episode a day. Go out on a weekend. Have a social circle. Have friends who are studying for this exam and have friends who are not studying for this exam. So that you know there's a reality check, you know that there is a life in and out of it. But this doesn't mean that you're not honest with your prep for the first 6 days of the week. Do you understand this? Clear? Yes. Understood? It's very important. Don't conform to the norm. No, not at all. Pick up a hobby, exercise, work out if you have to, watch something interesting, meet a friend if you have to, do all of those things. But for the 6 days that you do, it should be unquestionable, unwarranted attention. Clear? Understood? Yes? Yes? Okay? Good. This is my email address. This is my Telegram channel. And this is the referral code for those of you who are looking to buy something online. But there's something I would honestly tell you. This preparation, and this is very important. Please, my last two words of uh, the session, this last two words. This preparation for this exam is a sneak peek into your career. When you pick up your first posting as the subdivisional magistrate, assuming you pick up the IAS as your career, you will do land records, you will do VIP planning, you will do signing, you'll sign 100 caste certificates a day, you will look at MG Narega, you will look at Indra Awas, you will look at education, you will look at elections. You're going to be doing 10 things a day. This exam is doing 10 things over a year. The preparation of this exam is a beautiful trailer to the larger movie, which is the civil services prep. Clear on this? Understood this? Yes? Good? All right. Thank you so much for your time. It was lovely to interact with all of you. Take care. I'll see you guys on Tuesday at 12:30 for What a Week and Monday at 9:15 for What a Day. Until then, thank you so much. Lots of love to you. Keep working hard. Keep studying. Bye.